Hi, I want to do a quick little lecture on the business plan. I'm going to do this part on the written section. And so if you wanted to get the written section of the plan and you couldn't find it any other way, you could come out to score.org here at their template gallery. You can see the business plan for a startup business. Since it's the startup, it's the one you choose. You'd click on it. Then you'd have to actually download it and you'd end up opening this document. So let me get all the way at the top. It just overviews what a business plan is. You can read through that on your own. I do not need this page. I know what one is. On the business plan, you'll insert information. The company name is Uganda Water. Use all their address and website information, but you should also name this part of the company, whether you see it as just part of Uganda Water or in a project they're doing, or whether you see it as a separate legal entity, and we'll talk about that in a moment. The confidentiality agreement is pretty boilerplate, just so that if you were sharing this with someone, they're saying they're not going to divulge information to others or use this to share with what might be a competitor. The table of contents looks very similar to any template or um, just outline that you would have for a business plan. The order might be slightly different in some, where maybe marketing plan comes after operational or management comes before operational, but for the most part, they're all standard components. The executive summary must be written last. If you're not taking notes while you're listening to this, you're going to only be partially listening and you're going to miss a lot of maybe helpful things. But I will tell you here, you must use the business model canvas. So you can respond to these kind of sub points and do the business model canvas. And that's what I'm asking you to do. Make sure you write this last. You need to know all the other information first, and it will hopefully help you have consistency across the rest. So when it comes to the company description, there's information here that you could delete all this after you fill it out. I do not need the description of any section. I've written and seen so many of these. I've got that down, but you want to complete this worksheet with the business name, its mission statement. You should include the mission statement for Uganda Water, but you might have a unique one for this particular subcomponent of what they're doing. And so you'll complete this worksheet. When you get into products and services, keep in mind, we know their product is that filter. It's a generic one that they want to private label brand. You may not remember that from James' conversation, and you may even want to have some designs or concepts and names and things that they could use to brand that so that it's recognized and associated with them. And you are looking to recall things like that they're going to sell over time. That's really critical, that they're selling over time and that they're offering a money back guarantee. Those are parts of the product and service. Many times what you write in one section can be helpful, even cut and paste into another section. So here for products and services, it's really about filling out this worksheet right here. There are for suppliers, for example, right now they have one source. You might do some research and recommend a second source. You may even have to ask James what that particular one source they know about now is. Then in the marketing plan, and if you've written a marketing plan, if you've written a business plan, a strategic plan, they're all very similar. The nuances of difference, whether you're focusing just on marketing, market research, a little bit more in a marketing plan, a little bit more broad in a business plan and a strategic plan. Strategic plan is for something that already exists generally. Business plan is more the mindset of something new you're adding, whether that's a new company or a new product line or a new region of the world you want to sell in. You're going to understand barriers to entry, what makes it hard for others to compete with you, what's going to make it hard for you to enter, to open up this business. That will spill into threats and opportunities. It's just like the external analysis we did on Tesla. Now the SWOT analysis, again, I like SWOT matrix. It's just summarizing the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So you can fill out this section, but in order to do it, you'll need to know the marketing plan. You'll need to know the operations plan. You'll need to understand the finances. You cannot write independently and not collaborate and talk with each other and do this plan justice. It will read like a story that you each wrote a chapter and didn't even know what the other people were fully writing about, other than it was a story about the country of Uganda and trying to get water to people. So cutting and pasting is pretty common. There's repetition, and that's okay, but it ensures consistency also of your messaging. So you've got some information and details for our customers. We're talking families when we talk about distribution in the operational plan. We're talking about maybe going direct to families, but also using intermediaries, like maybe a municipal worker, but definitely schools or churches that may have connections to lots of people in the community and have trust already built, and where they can come and see the product demonstrated and where they can make payment. So there's all sorts of positive things. In payment, when we get there, you might want to think about, how do you let for an electronic payment? Not everyone will want to pay in cash. Even in the poorest communities, there's concern about theft or loss of cash. And so digital payment of some sort, usually what's a fintech, a finance tech, low-tech solution, is what often works best, and a little bit of research will help you with that. Key competitors could include things like not bothering to clean your water. That's one option, or just boiling it over the fire over time. It also includes municipal sources. It also includes buying bottled water. And so you need to do a little bit of comparison between that and a couple of other options, so that you know why this might be better. A better approach for families. Either it's more convenient, it's lower cost, it's higher quality, or some combination of those things. So you've got a competitive analysis where you can evaluate that. Where do you beat the competition? Where do you lose out to the competition? And there will be places you're stronger and weaker. That's just the nature of any choices we end up making. What is the unique niche? And so you can kind of read through these sections, but a lot of it, when you answer, you want to remove the description. The marketing expense strategy, you want to think about how, if any money is going to be spent. Word of mouth will be very big. Social media can be used. And on this side, we'll be out fundraising. But I don't know that there will be a lot of advertising beyond that. When we get into the financial section, one of the things you have to be careful of is that it aligns with what's said in this written section, but also when I get there and I show that to you, it's easy to double count costs. And so I'll try to explain that a little bit. So you think about the pricing. They've already given you one strategy of the amount they think people can pay and why. I think it's Harambe, and it's 50,000 once each month for 4 months. And one of the reasons for that is they have that bill, but also it kind of aligns with some school costs, and it seems an affordable price point. And after 4 payments, that gives them long enough to try out the product with a chance to bring it back if they don't want it. So you've got a worksheet that can help you think through that. Distribution channels, at least 2, maybe 3. Direct to the family, intermediate through a church or a school. The third possible one is they might use a municipal worker. Now, there's some pros and cons to using municipal workers. My experience has been that many of them are underpaid and trustworthy people, and so you could allow them to earn a commission on a sale, and that gives them a chance to earn more and provide better for their family. On the other hand, some of them are not particularly ethical, and they use their power and influence to coerce people into things that aren't always in their best interest, and we don't want an abuse of power. The operational plan talks about How we'll produce, we're doing a lot of purchasing, so it's external production. We're really more a sales arm, but we do have to think about how to brand and label and kind of message who the company, the organization of Uganda Water and the names that they're using in country, how to get that out. It will speak to our quality locations. We are throughout the whole the country, but it is just that one country, and it's primarily outside of the capital city, at least to start, more rural and small city locations. You've got to understand what might be some nuances of how business operates in that country. There might be a little more looseness around some of the operations that happen there versus a more formal structured country like the US. Who are you going to need on staff? A lot of salespeople could be 100% commission pay. You're going to have to think through that, or will you promise them a base salary? Will you have someone who manages and trains and handles that sales force? Will you have someone who manages and handles inventory? And how much of that can be done by existing employees versus new? How much inventory are you going to hold on hand? They have 125 in country right now. When will those be sold? When do they need new ones? How long does it take to get there? So you have lots of kind of simple questions, but questions about timing. If it takes 3 months to get product in country, then you better order 3 months in advance of needing new product. And I know right now it's a little uncertain, so I would expect most of the sales to happen late in the year this year because of the coronavirus and the impact it's having on business. What are the credit policies? Will you accept payment in digital form? I strongly recommend that. A fintech option, which is finance technology, usually works well in remote countries. And not everyone carries cash because of the fear of losing it or it being stolen. There will be a lot of cash sales, but that may not be the you shouldn't necessarily just exclusively go cash sales and assume that works for everyone and that's even best for everyone. You should talk a little bit about the people you know. And in this case, you could even say on biographies for existing employees known by the company. You don't need to spend a lot of time trying to understand people that they already know. But you may want to find out which of those folks can handle inventory or could handle sales or could handle training and managing a sales team. And then for advisors, we'll assume that they're going to use the advisors that they do for Uganda Water. And so you can make note of that, draw up a little organizational chart for bios and any gaps in experience. You can note where you have concerns. There's a chart for you to use. And then we get into startup expenses. And in startup expenses, this is just a written summary of some of what comes out of the financial statements. So you really should write this after the financial statements are together, but you can put a couple sentences together to help you think. For example, how much money do we think we'll have on the front end? We know we're going to sell 1,000 units. That's the goal for the first year. We have 125 in. So how much did that cost us already? If they priced out at $40 a unit and there's 125, then we've got $500. $5,000 already wrapped up. And so thinking through some of that. And then the financial plan, as you continue through it, will really be almost just a written executive summary of what comes out in the financial statements. And so we're going to move there pretty soon. Appendices only as needed. Please do note where you get information. I want to see that you're using reputable online sources. For me, Wikipedia again is one, but there's a lot of good government sites that can give you information about countries and some general information about Uganda. And then some notes at the end, and you're almost finished. And now you go back and do the executive summary. So let me stop recording.